The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. Today we'll be talking about our fire season. Actually, our fire season is year-round now. We're having fires all the time. We're going to be talking about mitigation, how you can help prevent a fire around your home and around your escape route possibly, and what you can do to actually make your home look a lot nicer with a little bit of mitigation. We'll talk about that and so much more. Stay tuned.
A decade of Montana fourth graders on Energy Share. When winter gets tough here in Montana, Lily Wallace knows who can help keep your home warm. Energy Share. That's right, says Livia Little. Energy Share wants to make sure that every Montanan stays warm, no matter how cold it gets outside. Thanks to Energy Share, we'll be cozy tonight. Energy Share is not a government program. It's neighbors helping neighbors who face energy emergencies the Montana way. Call or visit our website today. Energy Share is a good way to care.
Can you say ombudsman?
Ombudsman. Benson?
Uma Doodlesman? Fortunately, you don't have to say it right to get the help of a long-term care ombudsman. If you or a loved one reside in assisted living or long-term care, an ombudsman can help resolve any issue. And these services are completely free and confidential. Now, why don't you try that again?
Ombudsman.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today. Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and the show is brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services Senior and Long-Term Care Division. Today we'll be talking about mitigation. Mitigation as it applies to fires. We have a fire season that lasts the whole year now, and we have information that's available to individuals that you can get this brochure, or you can go online and find out how to help fireproof your home. And also important to know your escape routes and how to fireproof those. Know what's going to happen before it happens. So of course we have some wonderful guests today. We have both Pat McKelvey and Rocky Infanger. You're at Fire Safe Montana. And Pat, let's start with you. Mitigation is an interesting word, but maybe a lot of people don't know what it means as it applies to fire. Why is it important?
Well, it's because you mentioned fire prevention and preventing fires. Mitigation does not prevent fires.
Yeah.
But it does make it so that they're manageable. It's a forest practice. If you are living in a wildland urban interface, which is defined, then we suggest that you do things to limit and hopefully mitigate against any fire that would come into your structure, into your property.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? I mean, you have to kind of look around your home and see what might go up in fire, right? And there's good things and there's bad things around your home.
Well, there are different zones,
yeah,
and they're explained in our publications. Different zones out there that we look, and you start right around the base of the structure. Mm-hmm. Actually, looking at the structure itself, and we can talk about that in the ignition-resistant construction portion of it. But the venting and those kinds of things, anything that would let an ember get in and get to a place where it can start an ignition in your home. Mm-hmm. So we look at right around the base of the structure. What do we have in that first 3 to 5 feet area that can ignite? is it washed rock, or is it grass that's 2 feet high? Those kinds of things. And then as you go out in distance, if you're in a timbered area, for example, we look at the spacing and the thinning of what those trees are like. And people love their trees. I mean, they move out there because they like to live there, right?
Yeah.
And they're in love with it. What we look at is the spacing. If you look at a set of bowling pins, and how they're lined in their triangular shape, but their spacing is both this way and then this way.
Yeah.
And that's what we tell people. If you're looking down on your forested property from above, like a set of bowling pins, you're still going to look through from your deck and see your trees.
Yeah.
But they're spaced, and you see that by looking down on them. So that's the kind of thing that we talk about. And then as you get out to the 250, 300 feet, then you're kind of probably reaching the point where you still need to do forest practices and forest management. That's really what we're talking about here, is good management of your property.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for it, really, in the end.
Yeah.
Not somebody else. So.
We're from Helena, and I have a view of Mount Helena, and there's been so much spacing of the trees, maybe about a mile and a half. And then I noticed, up above Helena here, it's all spaced out also. There's been a lot of urban interface, which is where the city hits the wild areas. They've done a lot of work, and that's really great. And you guys have been responsible for that.
Well, the local program here, Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group, Fire Safe is a statewide organization, and there are local groups. I know in the Flathead, there's groups there around Missoula, places that's who would look to getting a project, for example, grant funding if it's available, those kinds of things. Fire Safe doesn't get involved in actually local project areas. That's up to those people.
But you've got all the information and everything. So Rocky, let's talk about building the home so it's fire resistant. How can the home be more resistant?
So building your home to ignition resistant standards, you're seeing more and more of that all the time. Hardy board used on the outside, metal roofing versus cedar shakes. You're seeing a lot of that stuff. Decks used to be a lot of wooden decks, still are, but they're using composite materials now, which is great. So if you're looking at doing some renovation, you might want to look at the different types of materials that are available. There's a multitude of materials, be it roofing, siding, decking, and stuff that can be used that reduce that ignition of that. It's still back to what Pat was saying, starting at the house and going out. If you have a deck, is it clean underneath? Could an ember get into dry leaves or pine needles built up, or boards that have been stored under there to try to keep them out of the weather? Happens a lot. Then that catches fire. Remember, if you're replacing your decking, the frame of the deck is probably still wood. So, your framing of the deck can catch on fire. The decking helps with embers landing on top of it, but something starting underneath it. So there's a lot of things you can do, basically from the ground up. That 3 to 5 foot is critical. A lot of people like beauty bark. They like the junipers, back to what Pat was saying of the tree species. It's a type of species sometimes too. Junipers planted right up next to the house probably isn't the best bet. There are different types of trees you could replace those with. They may not be as green. Junipers are low maintenance, so people love them, but if you were to go out, spread your juniper apart and look in there, it's only about that much of it's green, and then it's all dead on the inside, and that attracts stuff. So and it's built under eaves, then your house catches on fire. But again, it's the venting, the screening, 1/8 inch or less screening, the types of materials you're using, and you can get that information through a pamphlet we have, which is ignition resistant construction. These pamphlets are all online on firesafe.mt.org website, so free to download to anybody. Okay. If for some reason you would like a hard copy, you could contact us, and we can leave one of our numbers. Okay. And contact us, and we can mail them to you.
Great.
But yeah, ignition resistant construction helps reduce the ignition of the home.
Okay. Possibility of fire. We've quickly drawn to a close on our first segment. We'll be back with a lot more great information, so stay tuned.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
How about some good old-fashioned me time for starters?
Michelle Smith, Helena.
Or maybe play a high-stakes game of volleyball with my other kiddo. Gotta teach him who's boss, I could even make my famous spinach lasagna. Never hear any complaints about that.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
Hey Mom, more lasagna please?
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, but my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
Medicare loses $60 million in Montana each year, $70 billion nationally. Medicare processes 4.5 million claims a day. They don't know who your doctor is, but you do. Mistakes can happen.
Read your Medicare statements and call Montana Senior Medicare Patrol if you see anything unexpected.
1-800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Hi folks, and welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're talking about how to mitigate fire. Fire season this year, almost every year now, is year-round. We just don't have a season. We've been having fires in January with snow on the ground. And to talk more about that, I've got two individuals from the Fire Safe Montana, Pat McKelvey and Rocky Infanger. And Rocky, there's been a lot of fires around the nations, a lot of disasters around the nations, and it's turning out that we need to check out our home insurance. Why is that?
That's home insurance is critical. We all pay insurance. The question is, do you know what you're insured for? Mm-hmm. Simply, you should at least biannually, every couple years, you should get with your insurance agent. Make sure that you're insured for what you believe you're insured for. Mm-hmm. All the time during fires, you hear about, well, I thought I was insured for that. I've had people tell me they've been paying their policies for 30 years. Do you know what you're covered for? Mm-hmm. Well, everything. You might want to check that, because over time, insurance companies make changes and stuff, and you've made changes. You don't have the same stuff you had 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. You may have invested in more stuff or something. Are you insured for that? Mm-hmm. I found out I wasn't insured for what I thought I was during an evacuation. It made us check our policy. Mm-hmm. You can't just take your insurance for granted. have your agent get with him and have him explain it. So you can understand it. There's a lot of talk that go, within insurance that may go right over your head. It asks the question, what am I insured for, and do I need more coverage? Well, that's entirely up to you whether you want more coverage. But if you think this particular thing is covered, but it's not, then when you lose it, they're just going to tell you you're not covered.
Yeah.
And so take the time to find out. I guess my thing is, if the agent isn't willing to explain it to you, then maybe you ought to consider a different agent. But,
exactly.
But that's what you're hoping to cover, whatever your loss may be, is that insurance policy. And if you don't know what it means, it's not good. So
yeah, they know.
Yeah.
And because of you guys, I checked out my insurance, and it had been 15, 20 years, and it was a lot different than what I had expected. Well, cost of rebuilding goes up, and your value of your home is different than 20 years ago. And talk to your insurance agent.
There's no question those things change, and the insurance companies, kind of defend a little bit. Mm-hmm. They have to be capitalized to the area values that they're insuring. Mm-hmm. They can't, and so if there's issues with say a fire risk, a fuel hazard risk, then but we want them, and we want the homeowner to have an individual assessment. Take a look at this place and see what I think, and that works both ways. Mm-hmm. If you haven't done anything, then the insurance company knows that as well. I mean, it's not just on a big geographic area determination, but by that individual property.
One thing I would add to that is the local program here in the Tri-County area has a program worked out with the City of Helena and the Helena Fire Department. They will go out and do free home assessments to anybody in the City of Helena. Mm-hmm. Free. All you got to do is ask. Mm-hmm. And so there are different programs you need to check with your local area, find out what may be available, check with your local fire DES officials, and find out if there's something you can have done. Because back to the insurance, some of the insurance, when they're doing their ratings, may be using satellite imagery to look and see, too many trees, but they may not be able to tell the species of trees. Yeah. It could be cottonwoods that aren't as flammable, or aspen that's not as flammable as junipers or pines or firs. So, it's worth getting an assessment done.
Mm-hmm. And two, we're talking mitigation. If you've mitigated your home, and if in 20 years you got new plants and everything, they need to know that, and you probably did the right thing and maybe changed your deck from wood.
Well, that's why I say it works both ways.
Yeah. And the other thing with mitigation is that maintenance. Maintenance is ongoing. The trees grow just like everything else. We go to the doctor for maintenance. We take our cars in for maintenance. We've got to maintain our home and our property. So, maintenance is a huge part of mitigation.
That's a good description of it. We're talking about, this brochure is Living with Fire, how to mitigate your home, your business, your escape route. Figure out an escape route. We'll be talking about that in the next segment. Check your insurance. Maybe when you're upgrading your home, you can replace that wooden deck with a Tyvek. Maybe you can move that wood pile away from the home. A little bit of knowledge can save everything you own, because wherever you're at, if you weren't at home, what would you lose if your home burned down? And then how do you start over? Well, you start looking at your insurance. And we've got some telephone numbers. This pamphlet is available on the website. You can contact either of these individuals. There's a wealth of information. And the time to start figuring this out is right now. Don't figure it out when the smoke or the flame is coming over the horizon. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with our third segment.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, Call your local area agency on aging or adult protective services at 1-844-277-9300.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
You mean I can get help paying my prescription drug premiums?
Let me get this straight. I could be eligible for help with my family's prescription premiums even though I own my own home?
And our assets won't be counted.
If you're a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you could be eligible for help paying your premiums. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out, even if you think you're over income.
What do you know about that? I'm eligible.
When I found out it was diabetes, my first thought was, Barb, you need help. You have to take control of this. There is help. My doctor gave me a phone number. I called and signed up with a diabetes educator. There is help. I have to put blinders on when I walk past the bakery counter. I can feel my blood sugar go up. You succeed a little at a time. If you have diabetes, help is available. You do not have to do it alone.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi folks, and welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. We're continuing our discussion about preparing your homes and businesses for fire, particularly if you live outside the city and the urban interface that we call it. This pamphlet and many more pamphlets are how to prepare, how to be aware of fire, because it's a year-round season now for firefighting, and you're better informed is better prepared. Rejoining us is Pat McKelvey and Rocky Infanger. You're both with Fire Safe Montana. And Rocky, let's start with you. You're also a fire chief in Wolf Creek. Yes. And why is it important for the people to know who's protecting them? It's just like, okay, I pay my taxes, they do it. I need to know more than that, don't I?
We have a lot of people moving around.
Yeah.
Human nature. A lot of new people moving in. Get to know your local fire officials. Mm-hmm. Ask them questions. Ask them what you can do to improve your chances and stuff. If you're just relying on them to come at that last moment, it makes it better when you know people and the face is familiar, especially during high stressful times and stuff. Mm-hmm. So getting to know your people, asking them questions, maybe becoming involved in that fire department and helping them. A lot of departments could use help.
Yes.
It's, we've become dependent upon them a lot more. We've got more people, so their call volumes are up and stuff. And getting to know them and maybe getting to be a part of them can be very beneficial.
Volunteer, and they're good people. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're interesting. You learn a lot. It's a great experience. But maybe they'll teach you too how to let them, how you would let your citizens know there's a fire going on. How do you do that?
A lot of different ways. There's social media. It depends on what your local jurisdiction is using. Mm-hmm. We have a social media website. We can work with local officials to do some notification through phone systems, radio, TV, all of that. But you have to take some responsibility for that yourself, and and that's staying up on your local weathers, what's going on in the areas, your time of year, which again. Yeah. We can get into that, which is year-round. Right. We all think July, August, September is the worst fire season. Fire season is 12 months of the year.
Yeah. And Rocky, we actually have a video we're going to try to put up. What does that video show?
So that video was, fire was on in January. Very windy. Obviously you can see that in the trees and how the smoke is moving. The embers blowing across the landscape, spot fire starting, and you can also see snow on the ground.
Yeah.
This isn't just summertime issue. And so you need to be prepared year-round for this. When I do assessments, I tell people the dried plants and the planters that are all dried out, an ember can get in them and smolder for a day or so before it ignites something. And even though the plants aren't there and there may be snow on the ground, you left a planter hanging. It could smolder, cause more embers, start something else. So, you know, it's a maintenance thing, it's a mitigation thing, it's an evacuation thing. But getting to know those people, in the smoke and heat and flames and embers is not the time to try to get to know your neighbors. So reach out. You know, they have functions. Most all of them have functions. Try to get involved with them.
Well, great. And Pat, we only have about 2 minutes left. Can you kind of summarize everything we spoke about here about the importance of mitigation?
That's a bit. It sounds like a big deal of something to try to do, but really, when you think about it, it's pretty simple. It's, as I said, spacing, it's time, it's paying attention to what the local authorities are saying. Perhaps it's getting your neighborhood together. Be the spark plug in your little neighborhood community. You get to meet each other that way as well. With new people moving in, that came up. One thing, though, that we didn't talk about, and that's if you do have to go, the little fuzzy thing that you wipe your feet on going into the door, that will catch embers as well. And so that is something to throw that out in the yard along with the patio furniture. So it's really thinking about that. We have the publications available. If you have some kind of a group meeting that you want a box of them, we'll send them to you. We'll get them to you. So it's thinking, it's building, all towards not, like I said, it's mitigation, it's not total prevention. You're not doing that. That's not
planning. Planning. Everything's planning. Plan your evacuation, plan your mitigation, plan on meeting your insurance people, plan on meeting your fire department. You know, it's just planning.
Well, that's great. Well, I'd like to thank you both for coming here. I know we come back every year. We've been doing it probably 28 years, Pat. And it's all great information. And again, for our viewers, you know, how can you mitigate around your property? I mow my lawn. I mow the field a little bit around the house. It's kind of fun in the fall to do it, and it really looks nice in the winter. But when it's green grass, it's great also. But there's a little bit of planning. Particularly, you know, I just checked my home insurance, and I changed it because of that. Talk to your insurance person. Look around your home. When it comes time to update certain aspects of your home, think about wildland fire mitigation, and hopefully your home will be around to catch us again on Aging Horizons.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.